Hi everyone, welcome once more to another episode of Noble. Today, I have someone I've been hunting for since the inception of this show. And as I promised, we are always trying to elevate these conversations to make them better. And I know we're gonna have a very deep conversation with scholar Akinyi. So one thing we do in this show is that we allow you to introduce yourself. Just, tell us what you do, your hustle, what makes you you. So, yes.
Oh, yeah. It's nice to be here, finally. Although you're lying to people that you've been hunting. Just ask me once or twice. I'm a woman. I have to play hard to get. So my name is Scholar Akinyi. I'm an editor by profession and training. That is what I do. I live and I work around books. The whole production process of a book from an idea to an actual book at hand.
All right.
Yeah. So that is. I've been in the industry for 5 years.
Yes.
So that's what I do. I'm also in the literary space, the Kenyan literary space, and conversation around books and stories and writing.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. That's my hustle. Wow. That's what gets me food.
What pays your bills?
Yeah, that's the business I'm supposed to mind.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, and I love Arsenal to death. Yeah. We were just unlucky last season, but let's see. We bottled it, or the village witches have us in a bottle. So I mean, So I love Arsenal. I hate chapati.
Yeah. You've done like a whole
series
of just bantering chapati, talking ill about chapati.
Yeah.
Okay, you will tell us what is it about chapati?
About chapati. Okay. Today I get to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's me. I am a jovial person, a people's person. So ukinipata uko nje, don't say hi. I will say hi.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Whether you see me or not.
I will say hi. Don't worry.
So first things first, you're talking about Kenyan literature. You are in that space. I remember I did an article some time back about, majority of we readers, bibliophiles like me, even personally, I have more of West African literature in my shelf, more than the Kenyan fiction. So what do you think? Where is the disconnect? Because many Kenyans are reading West African literature. Is it about marketing? Is it about the language that connects with them?
I think when we talk about the space, the literature space in Kenya, we have to go back in history and see what it was like. Because, for most people, when we talk about books, what comes to mind is school. And talk to your parents, talk to people who were in school in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. They used to read Shakespeare, Merchant of Venice. They would read Western books. So there was nothing Kenyan. There was nothing. There was no Kenyan literature that was introduced to people. The books that people knew were from the West,
Europe.
From Europe. And that makes it. If you read a story about Nairobi, and because you're from Nairobi, you'll understand. If you're reading something that is talking about, let's say, snow. I mean, have you seen snow? I mean, that kind of thing. So you don't relate. You just go to school, do it because you're supposed to do it to pass your exams, and that's it. So nothing will encourage the reading culture. So I think at the moment in the 21st century, we are doing much better. But we have to admit that it didn't start well. There was nothing about Kenyan literature from the very beginning. And I think that contributed to us not having anything. That is why when West Africans started writing. And you know, West Africa, especially Nigeria is competitive.
Yes.
Everyone wants to, everyone is rushing. They're always rushing, you know. So whatever they do, whatever they put their minds to, they actually, they give it their best. So we got books from there, and you're like, oh, finally something we can relate with. Villages. They're talking about there is that cat in Nani's book, in Chinwa's book. So you know, it's something that we started relating with, and gradually we get to understand how to write about Africa, how to write about our own spaces, how to describe our rivers or our cities. So we are doing better compared to the years back. So we cannot just say that that it wasn't there for a reason.
Yes, and speaking within the context of you know, we're now having more African writers. What is Nigeria doing better than Kenyans? Because personally, I try to read Kenyan stories, and I think the language is a bit tight for me. But when I read like Chigozie Obioma's An Orchestra of Minorities, the ease, he does not conform to grammatical rules and whatever. He just tells the story, uses Nigerian, you know, Yoruba words throwing in here and there, you know, and he doesn't even care to explain to you what that means. But if you read a book from a Kenyan, you realize that we always want to be a little bit British or something. So you are in this space. I am a consumer of books. I've never really been in the process of creation, you know. So what do you think? What is Nigerians doing better than us? Because I go to Prestige Bookshop and I ask them, how many books have you sold that are Kenyan? And you realize that West Africa is selling more books in our own country. I look at Textbook Center Book Club. I'm a member there. In a year, we have like 12 books in a year. You realize that every 7 of them are from West Africa. Now, what's Nigerians doing differently that Kenyans are not doing?
Okay. So, like I already said, Nigerians they give their best. But let us look at let me speak about Kenyans, because I'm Kenyan. So you realize that when we were doing composition, creative writing, our teachers were strict on, have you punctuated? Is your spelling correct? Are you using the right English? Are you substituting your words? You know, are you using basic English or sophisticated language? You know? So that was the mark of success. That was the mark of a good writer. Having this very flowery and British and sweet, really good English, very, you know? Very complex English. So we grow up knowing that if someone can write that kind of English, then they're good. If someone brings in sheng and maybe slang or mother tongue, they're like, wow, you don't know, you don't know, you can't communicate in English, you know. But West Africa, especially Nigeria, they actually have pidgin English. That is a big deal. And they embrace it, and they embrace it, you know. So it's like they understood their culture and they just, you know, swam with it. They just
and they don't care where they're selling.
And they don't care.
You need to get, like, I read I used to say Ayoba Me and Debayo Stay With Me was the best ever contemporary novel that came, but then until I met An Orchestra of Minorities, that book is traumatizing. But I love how Chigozie tells his story. I mean, he uses Nigerian, those local languages there. He doesn't care to really, tell you the meaning, read the context, understand that when he talks about Chukwu, he's talking about God, and he doesn't have to tell you Chukwu is God. So I think, first of all, do you think we have Kenyan English?
Yes,
English that is just us?
Yes, we do.
All right.
When I was coming to the show, if I called you, I'd ask you, you said it's where?
You see that?
You see, that is me asking you, where am I supposed to come to?
And
you know?
we also do throw Kiswahili words here and there.
And there.
Kesho, I'll see you. Nigerians would write like that.
They will write like that.
And they don't care to
actually, in Bulawayos, we need new names. That book is not punctuated. Quoted words, quoted speech are not in quotes at all. They're just
free
sentences, and you read and you get to understand. They don't conform to rules, and that is a book that has won is it the Booker, or it was nominated for the Booker, I think.
The Booker Awards.
So you realize that we are a bit rigid because we want to conform to the rules.
The rules of English. We have to be British.
And the thing about being a creative is you need to understand the rules first, then break them. So I think that is what Nigerians have done. They understood the rules, and now they can freely break them. For us, we don't understand the rules because we are still struggling. We are still... Composition writing or creative writing was an examinable thing. It's not something that
you write for fun.
It's not. Composition was not something that the teacher will come and teach today and tomorrow, and and something like that. It's something that you waited, and it was always a gamble. Like this time I might get 30 over 40. Next time you get 18. So we are still struggling with the rules of writing that were taught in school. Right. And you also realize that even in the Kenyan publishing industry, it's more about the traditional publishing. It's more of curriculum books. So easy creative books and every other thing are just... They're just coming up now. But before, it was very strict, like you cannot use this kind of language in a book. We have to scrap this off. We have to conform to British English. We can't do this and this. We can't include Sheng in books, So I think we are still focused on following the rules when other parts of the world are just doing it. They're just free. It's creative.
Someone comes to my mind when you're talking about breaking these rules, and I don't know, I would want you to give me your opinion.
Okay.
I grew up reading a lot of Smitten, that is Tony Moshamas, but eventually when I grew up, I happen to now know Tony within the social media spaces, listening to him on radio and stuff like that. Tony has done a book. Is it a night life in Nairobi or something? Sadly, I've forgotten the topic, the title of the book. But you see, the way Tony writes in Smitten is a Kenyan way of how we communicate. Do you think it's good that we sell that one out? Because Tony is so authentic. Like, if I want to read something about Nairobi vibe, I'm going to read from Tony. Because there's a way he just put it out there. With Kiswahili, Sheng included and all that. So do you think we should start writing in that way?
Yes, I think we should. And these rules, these rules that govern writing, they're not supposed to be there because it's creative. And being creative means play around, joke around, make someone read and they're like, oh my, this is nice. I like this. Imenibamba, that kind of thing. So I think we need to let the creativity come out. See, there are things you'd think in your mother tongue. And you try to translate it, and you sort of lose something in translation. If I say something if I say like something, if I try to translate it, there is something that is lost in translation. But it is so nice when you say it in Luo, in the authentic language, So I think we need to just let creativity be creativity.
I have a friend who orders beer in the bar, and then he says, like, bring me the coldest beer. But he says into Luo, Kilnabia mangichka wirewa. So away from the serious stuff about books and all that, recently you did a very noble initiative in your community. That is the school you went to. Actually, when you kept talking about Aonge Dhiang primary school, I just think it's a joke. Until I realized, actually, Aonge Dhiang exists.
It's a real place.
Like Ludedongo primary school. I'm like, God. So you did a very noble initiative, and such kind of initiatives are very close to my heart because in my village, these are the kind of things that I'm trying to do, trying to build a community of young people who can actually look inside their homes or their schools that they went to and say, what can I do differently?
Yeah.
So how is that? Like, what compelled you to now say, okay, I need to actually do a book, book drive to, and why books, So what compelled you, or speak to us about it? What was it about?
Okay. So growing up, I had a lot of books at my disposal. Yeah. I always had books. There was a reading series by Oxford, the NPPE, the A, B, C, that reading series. Yeah. So I think I had the whole collection. So I always had books. Before I went to Aonge, then I was in another school in Naivasha. So we had a library. There were books. Accessing books was not a problem. So fate takes me to Aonge Dhiang, and I get there and I realize, oh my God, what is happening here? People don't have books. People don't have storybooks. People don't have the textbooks that I have are the ones being brought by the government.
Yes.
So
it's like curriculum kind of books,
So it was a bit of a culture shock for me, because I wondered, how do they survive? How are they even writing their composition? What's going on here? Then I realized it's in the village. The first thing that the parent thinks about is not a storybook. That is it's like
it's even too expensive.
Too expensive. What do you need it for here? So I left, of course. Then I went to high school, went to university, started working, and it kept bugging me that these kids, they're there. I was there. I saw it, and nothing has changed. There is no library. There is nothing. And every time I went to, especially when I went to high school, and I said I went to Aonge Dhiang Primary School. They were like, because I was the best student in English for some time before competition got stiff. So they would be like, oh wow, you went to Aonge Dhiang. That is, you must be very brilliant. And I did want to look like
this Aonge Dhiang with a funny name. It's one of the top schools in the region.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
All right.
Yeah, so people just say, you come from this very remote school, you must be very brilliant. But I didn't want to take that credit, because I knew that before Aonge Dhiang, I was somewhere where I could access books. So it was not by chance that I knew the English, or I had read this literature and everything. So I didn't have the time and the energy to explain to people that I was privileged. I actually had books, because if you go to Aonge Dhiang, they don't have the books.
Was it like a deliberate effort from your parents to ensure that you access those books?
All right. Yeah, it was very deliberate. And I remember whenever I was always looking for the next book to read. So whenever because we lived in the outskirts of town, so whenever I had that dad had gone to town, I'd ask mom for her phone and say, Dad, please get me this book. And then he would come with 2 extra or 3 extra. So it was very deliberate. So I thought, these kids, they are not privileged like that, and I cannot go out there and say I went to Aonge Dhiang Primary School and I am this good. Alafu there will be no one else who will. Because they are not privileged. So I'll be living a lie. Let me give them. Let me offer them the privilege that I also had, and that is how the Aonge Dhiang book drive was birthed.
All right.
So it's a dream from when I was 13 years old.
Oh wow. So did it nag you for a long time? Did you ever think, I want to do something for my people down there, but no, I have to think this is my social capital? Because I believe you look at your social capital, the people around you, and you reached out to them. So did it bother you? Did you say, okay, for these years, I've been having this thing at the back of my mind?
It bothered me a lot. And I thought, where will I get the money? Because I don't want to do something mediocre. I don't want to take 10 books, you know. I want grade 1 learners to have books, and I want grade 7 learners to have books, you know. So it bothered me, and the first time I talked to someone about this was in 2021. I told her, I'm planning to do a book drive for my village. So will you help me with social media and So she said, it's fine. Then the dream died because I was also afraid, because again, social media has, you know everything with social media.
Like write that book. Then the moment you own that book, you don't see people really.
So 2021 passes, 2022 passes, and then in 2023, I was talking to a friend who was also giving back to his primary school, and I was like, I can do this. And then by 2023, now I had gained a following. I had a name. You see,
of course, you still.
So I had a name. So I thought, let me make a post. If it fails, fine. If I'll get the reception, then I'll see how to proceed with it. So I make a post. I posted a photo of me under that Aonge Dhiang signboard. Then a very nice photo, and I talk about how it was like, and this dream that I have. And then people say, we will support. And I decide, I'm doing this in a month. I am just going to do this in a month. So then the following day, I made a call to the current head teacher at Aonge Dhiang Primary School, introduced myself, told him I was there some very many years ago. I want to come back. I want to bring books. Can you give me a date? And they're like, come any Friday, it's fine. So I said, next month, the first Friday of the month, I'll be there. No nothing. So I had saved some money, of course, because this was my brainchild. So I had saved some money. So with the money that I had, I started buying books. And then, of course, I am in the publishing industry. So I knew the ropes to pull and the people to talk to. So that's how it happened. But of course, I was worried. I was very worried, but it worked. It worked perfectly. I was amazed.
So, talking into the world of books, you know, I've grown up in 2 different settings. I've grown up in my Dar es Salaams. I've also grown up in the village. And while I was back in the village, you know, I used to travel like 20 kilometers to go to the next Kenya National Library service in somewhere called Okwala. So books really shaped how I told my stories. Books really made me write better stories, you know, as compared to other kids. And there were only very few of us. So most of the life lessons, greatly as a kid, the characters I met in the stories that I wanted to imitate, I wanted to do what they're doing. So how has that been like for you? Being someone who started reading at a very tender age to where you are, how has that book world been for you?
For me, oh, this is so exciting. So in the series, the Oxford series, there was a book. I think it was 6C or 6B. It was called The Madhouse. So The Madhouse by Frank Njenga. I read it when I was 12.
Whoa.
I still remember the main character was Akinyi, like me. So Akinyi is that book introduced me to mental health when I was 12. Mental health was not something that people used to talk about. So Akinyi was an adolescent who gets pregnant and she tries to abort and she tries to commit suicide. No, I think she tries to commit suicide because she has issues with the boyfriend, and then there is that stigma around trying to commit suicide. Then she's a rich girl, so friends don't want to come and see her. So, you know, I thought about it and I was like, oh, wow. Then, of course, the story ends nicely where the friends eventually come and they make tea. And these are like 12, 13-year-olds, So it introduced me to mental health and understanding. Now that people talk about depression and mental health and check on your friends, it's something that I knew about when I was 12 because I read it in a book and I was like, so someone my age could think of taking their life. So it's a thing. Yeah. So I think books open our minds so much that parents will be amazed. I mean, if I told my parents that I understand that someone could decide to take their lives, they'd be like, you're such a child. Why would you imagine such a thing, you know? But it's something that I read in a book, you know, and when the conversations around mental health and depression started coming up, you know, I was just and I'm saying, I've always known. I've always known.
So the book kind of gave you an idea. Sometimes life really press someone,
and you might end up thinking about taking your life. And you can still come out of that, and you need a very strong support system.
So you took the lesson of coming out of it.
So I took the lesson of coming out of it, and I think even in high school, I usually had this urge to check on people because it was at the back of my mind. I always thought, like someone could be going through something. Let me do what those friends did for Akinyi. So it really shaped my understanding of mental health in as much as it was just a story for primary school.
Well, I'm relating this, but though the book I read when I was 12 that I can remember, it's Njambanene and the Flying Mouse. But there's a book that really disturbed me when I read it, because I read it when I was really at my lowest point. I always wanted to, I explore the music world greatly. I want to know what was the history of American music and all that. So I bumped into, the Nirvana, there's Kurt Cobain and the Nirvana. So there's a book titled Come As You Are by Michael Azrad. It talks about the Kurt Cobain, the child, the traumas he went through. There are so many things I could relate with. And you see, Kurt is somebody who sold the idea of, I think he was hell-bent to take his own life. And for almost the time I read our book, it justified the idea of taking your own life because why should you suffer? Why should you struggle?
When you can just end it.
You know? Then I started looking at around me and I realized that nobody owes me anything. If today I feel life is very difficult for me, I need to take my life. And it justified it. And it took a counselor to really talk me out of this. Because the book really justified suicide for me. The way Kurt used to talk about his stories. There was so much going on in his life that people didn't know because he's a star, he gets on the stage and performs.
And the attention.
I got the connection about art and the artist. And that's where I want us to get into. You are into this world where you are editing books for people. You've also written. I know that. So is there a disconnect between the art and the artist? Can we say, I know most of my poetry are so suicidal, and I've got people reaching me out and ask me, bro, are you okay? Is everything fine? I know artists sometimes try to just say, I'm just writing about the world. I'm writing about people's stories, you know? Then, I don't know if you know Chris Kantai. When Kantai died, and I was reading so much about him, I realized this guy was actually telling us what was going on in his life. And we were dancing to the
his art,
thinking, this is just Kantai doing his thing. Hip-hop is like that. But like the song Issues, clearly Kantai writes his own struggles, but people don't really tell it. So, where is the connection between the art and the artist? Now, have you met people who write so much about themselves that sometimes you think, they're going through something? I
think you cannot separate the artist from their art. Because if it's not happening to them, it's happening to someone close to them, or they are observing it. Because again, art is like a mirror. It's it's mirroring something. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. So the idea of separating an artist from their art is strange to me, and it does not make sense, because our brains process the things that we are either experiencing or people around us are experiencing.
Yeah.
So an artist and an art are
one thing.
Very much, they are very much connected. Yeah, they're very much connected. And there are things that people write so passionately about.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh my God, they have mastered their craft.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not about the writing.
Yeah.
It's about this really deep message that they're trying to put across, and they're using their words.
Wow.
Yeah. So we just end up dancing or reading, and enjoying the wordplay without really seeing what is the connection between this person, and are they hiding? Are they hiding? Are they telling us something? Are they gossiping? Because there is always a connection.
One of the authors I really want to know how their life was like is Chigozie Obioma. I mean,
me too, because
that guy writes traumatizing stories.
He's written The Fisherman, An Orchestra of Minority. There's a short story by him that is so traumatizing. You read it, it's about this poor man, the wife left, and some which doctor told him to go and chase a goat, and people die along the way. It's so bloody. So I really want to meet him.
I hope we'll
and
host him in the show.
Please
when
host him.
Chigozie,
please. When you see this, because you will come.
They're looking for you.
We want you here.
You need to come and tell us.
We have questions. We have questions.
His books are so traumatizing.
They are so traumatizing. But I believe that is not out of a vacuum.
Yes.
There must be something.
All right.
There must be something to it.
Wow. So thank you much, Scholar, for taking time to be here today.
You're welcome.
I know we're going to the next part of the show, which we're going to have like Q&A. We're going to ask ourselves a few questions, very personal questions.
I'm pumped.
But I'm so happy that you created time to be here today. And guys, thank you for always staying tuned, subscribing, liking our work. We are always happy to come to your space with very personal stories. So until then, see you.